that highly successful people, they like themselves. And this is the truth. The next thing is that they are responsible. Highly successful people are responsible for their lives. And what that means is they take on the responsibility to create the life that we want, what they want. They're investing. People are irresponsible. We're playing the lottery. We're hoping. We're wishing. We're pretending that one day things are going to get better. Successful people are taking responsibility and they're creating. They're making their future. So I was driving to work and a thought popped in my mind, and I can't even tell you where this thought came from. It was probably because of how bad the Super Bowl was. That was the worst Super Bowl. Well, second to worst. First worst when the Broncos went. Broncos are my team. Whoop, whoop. And they didn't show up. And we got our asses kicked the whole Super Bowl. That was terrible. But anyway, so I'm driving to work and I'm thinking this thought. And I'm thinking, I wonder how many people died the day of the Super Bowl. And how the Super Bowl and stuff affects the death rates in America. And I was shocked. And so I don't even know where the thought came from, but I'm glad I just kind of pursued the thought and seen the effects that the Super Bowl has on some people out there. And so as I began to research, I found out that car accidents and DUI accidents goes through the roof. Like the amount of people that died the night of the Super Bowl was crazy. And then even a step farther, I seen the suicide rates went up. Good morning, Linda. The suicide rates went up after the Super Bowl. And they attribute that to people gambling their life away. And so this one event caused a reaction in multiple different people in multiple different ways. But what I want to talk about here is responsibility. Because as we know, the Super Bowl, the football, it's just a game. It's neither good or evil. Now, some people, the Super Bowl was highly beneficial to them. That means they had a good time watching it. They were responsible. It was a good, positive, beneficial thing in their life. And then for others, they decided to go to a Super Bowl party and drink way too much. And then after drinking way too much, they decided to get into their cars. And they probably didn't know that that would be the last time that they entered their car. And then there were those who bet the farm on this one event and decided that they were going to pour thousands and thousands of dollars into a bet in the hopes of the chance that winning this bet that was placed on the Super Bowl would radically change their lives forever. And so we got people writing articles and pointing to the Super Bowl and saying how detrimental it is for people. Because people get in cars and they crash, and people bet the farm and they lose all their money. And we do this as a society a lot. We blame it on the politician. We blame it on the government. We blame it on our work, our boss. We blame it on all these conditions, but personal responsibility says something far different. You see, I don't know about you, but I've been to Super Bowl parties and I've been to birthday parties where there's alcohol served. And I did decide to partake of some alcohol. But knowing I had to drive in 2 to 3 hours later, I limited my beverages to 2 to 3 and then gave it a space of 2 hours before I decided to jump in a car. And what this is called responsibility. You see, I could have crashed that night if I decided that I was going to go ahead and continue drinking until my heart's content and then decide to jump in my car and drive home. And I could have had the same results if I made the same choices. But what people are doing, they're pointing to a thing, a non-living organism, and saying that this is the reason why a lot of people died on Super Bowl Sunday. And it's crazy. It's crazy. So the challenge today is this. It is to look at our lives and ask ourselves this question: what area of my life am I not taking responsibility for? What area of my life am I pointing the finger at somebody else and saying, this is the reason why I am the way that I am? Man, I would have good health if I wasn't drinking all this coffee. Man, my bank account would be, boom, slamming. If it wasn't for this occupation, if it wasn't for this job. Man, my marriage would be on fire if it wasn't for that crazy wife of mine. She's over there looking at me. Man, my children would be wonderful if they weren't so rebellious. And we say all these things, and we opt out on creating the life that we want, and we point. I would have a good life if it wasn't for my parents. I would have a good life if I didn't have the addictive, alcoholic gene, addict gene. I would have a good life. No, the reason why you don't have a good life is because you decided not to make one. And here's the bottom line. We can complain that there's not enough money in our bank account and not do the things necessary to get the money in there. And we can complain about this relationship that we have when we're not making the investments into that relationship to produce the relationship that we want. And lastly, we can sit and complain. Man, these kids are terrible. Terrible. When we haven't stepped up and been a parent in years. Today's morning infusion, yep, I already owned it. Today's morning infusion is this. I am going to personally take responsibility to create the life that I want. I'm going to stop blaming other people. Peace.